This is News 25 with Deanna O'Donnell and Missy Kohler. News 25, local news you can count on. Today's news is brought to you in part by Dr. George Leeks, Pahrumph's optometrist since 1990, offering full spectrum eye care for children and adults. Call today, 727-8300. News is also brought to you by J.K. Nelson Law. Call 727-9900 today for your free consultation. If you need a lawyer, you need Nelson. This segment of the news is brought to you by Silver State Health, bringing quality medical and psychiatric care to Pahrump. Call 775-505-1214 for an appointment.
Welcome to News 25. It's snowing. I'm Deanna O'Donnell.
I'm Missy Kohler, and today is January 25th.
Well, rescue crews right now are responding to an off-highway accident, and that is occurring right now behind Wine Ridge, and that's right off of the Wine Ridge. They're saying that it's about a half mile up the road. There was a rollover accident from an ATV. 2 males are involved in a dog, and we'll bring you more on that story on tomorrow night's broadcast. Well, Nevada Highway Patrol is also investigating a single vehicle rollover crash here in Pahrump.
One person was injured in a single vehicle rollover crash Monday afternoon in Pahrump. It happened on Highway 160 near Irene Street. Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue, Nye County Sheriff's Office deputies, and Nevada Highway Patrol all responded to the scene, which was initially reported to be at Highway 160 and Leslie Street. Medics assessed one person who declined to be transported to the hospital. Traffic was diverted around the scene for a short time as first responders helped the victim and investigated the crash.
2 people were transported to Desert View Hospital as the result of a crash Saturday here in Pahrump.
Nevada Highway Patrol is investigating a 2-car crash at the intersection of Belle Vista Avenue and Barney Street Saturday afternoon. A sedan and SUV collided, causing the SUV to roll over, eventually landing on its side. The intersection was closed for a short time while crews helped the victims and cleaned up the debris. Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue assessed the victims, and 2 people were transported by ambulance to Desert View Hospital. A street sign at the intersection was also destroyed as a result of the crash. Nye County Sheriff's Office deputies were also on scene to assist with traffic control.
And a weekend fire causes minor damage to a Pahrump business.
Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue, Nye County Sheriff's Office deputies, and Nevada Highway Patrol all responded to Purcell Tire and Service Center on Oxbow Avenue around 8:30 Saturday evening for a report of smoke coming from the large commercial structure. Fire crews were able to make access to the building and extinguish the fire, which appears to have started in or near the building's swamp cooler, which is located on the roof. No injuries are reported.
We have new information today on the case of a missing Pahrump man.
The Nye County Sheriff's Office had been searching for Kevin Clore since December 31st, when a friend called to say they hadn't seen him for several days. At the time, the Sheriff's Office learned that Clore had checked into a Henderson hospital December 23rd. He was released from the hospital December 25th and hadn't been heard from since. The Sheriff's Office had asked for the public's help in finding him, but investigators have now learned that Clore died December 26th at the Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center in Los Angeles. The Sheriff's Office did not explain how Clore ended up in Los Angeles or provide a cause of death.
Well, we did have a little break in the storm earlier today, and right now it's snowing, but John was out there a little bit earlier, standing outside the KPVM studios. Let's see what he had to say.
Hey, thanks, Deanna. I bet it's nice and warm in the studio. Outside here, it's cold. We got the wind blowing. We got snow on the mountains. We got snow on the ground somewhat and a little bit of rain. It's a mess out here. Back to you.
You're watching News 25, the most recognized and farthest-reaching local news in Nye County. News 25, local news you can count on. This segment of the news is brought to you by Pahrump Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 10,054, open to our veterans and our community. Stop by or give them a call.
Welcome back. Well, rent relief checks are on the way. IBM and Intel stock prices tumble, and GameStop seems unstoppable.
Topping our news, rent money will soon be going out to Americans on the verge of becoming homeless due to losing a job. $25 billion is expected to reach 14 million Americans. President Biden is calling on Congress for another $30 billion to stave off what could become an unprecedented wave of evictions. On Wall Street, shares of IBM became a 9% drag on the Dow on Friday. The blue chip tech company fell after missing estimates and also reported a rare decline in sales of its software. Intel slipped after a hack attack forced the tech giant to release earnings 9 minutes earlier than scheduled. The chip maker's fourth quarter revenue, however, exceeded expectations. GameStop is the stock of the moment. Shares have been unstoppable, with that stock up more than 100% in 1 week. That stock is rising on an epic short squeeze.
Will the Board of County Commissioners get into the utility business? It was discussed at their last meeting.
At the January 20th Board of County Commissioners meeting, Director of Community Development Darrell Lacey brought forward an interesting question. Would the Board of County Commissioners be interested in pursuing due diligence and actions needed to possibly purchase Desert Utilities, Inc.? Desert Utilities is the smallest of the 3 utilities. Lacey stated that the utility is well run and is in an area that would provide potential infrastructure to support some economic development and commercial activities along the Highway 160 corridor. Also available with the purchase would be a considerable amount of water rights. There was much discussion among the board regarding the pros and cons of deciding to purchase the utility, and the discussion was appreciated by all. Public comment offered sage advice.
The discussion right now is getting way ahead of itself. If these guys are selling a business asset, they will be able to give you a lot of things for free right now to take a look at. See what they charge per customer, see what their operating costs are, see when they did everything, and get yourself an idea of what this is. We haven't even talked about a price. But to not look at it further, Utilities Inc. wasn't looked at when it was $4 million. Had the county acquired Utilities Inc., the way this county grew would have been at the board's discretion, not at theirs. And I think that you'd be remiss in not looking at this and just analyzing it. We're not talking about a huge engineering thing at this point. What we're talking about is, let's see your books. What's your purchase price? You guys would obviously have to float a bond of some kind. Is that floated for just that area of town where these people would be using it? And you're going to hold their rates at a certain level? Like, what are the parameters of which would make sense? Because it's just a financial situation. Any bigger company that will buy them will look at it the same way. Then if you want to move forward, then if you say, there's a possibility of making this work, then you may do a study. But at this point, to not see those numbers, to not get what they have, I think you'll look back and say, why didn't we do that?
Lacey followed that up with his experience in his 14 years, being that one of the biggest hurdles faced for economic development activity is the lack of infrastructure. One of the reasons that has not been able to be addressed is because we are not in the utility business, so there is very little control or influence over where utilities are built, how they are operated, cost of operation, and costs applied to a new business. All important considerations to new businesses. Nye County Assessor Sherry Stringer suggested to the commissioners that as the seller, the utility should bring all of their information to the board. In the end, the board decided they wanted more information, and the direction to staff, voted 3-2, is to continue with due diligence on the possible purchase.
Well, use of a stolen debit card leads to the arrest of a Pahrump man.
On Thursday, January 14th, deputies were dispatched to an address in Pahrump for a report of a burglary. The reporting party stated that morning at approximately 7:30 a.m., an unknown person entered their vehicle, garage, and residence, which were all unlocked at the time. Multiple items were stolen from the garage and residence, including various tools and a hoodie sweatshirt with a wallet in the pocket. Inside was a debit card. Deputies contacted the owner of the card, who stated she was sick with cancer and had a person that would assist her with her bills and finances, and only that person had her consent to use the card. The owner of the card was contacted that day at 8 a.m. and told that the card had been used twice in Pahrump for 2 transactions. Deputies contacted the manager of the ATM that was used, and the manager said that he recognized the suspect as a frequent customer and identified him as Christopher Holderson. The deputy took a photo of Holderson and showed it to the owner of the debit card, and she said that she did not recognize the suspect, but she said that the hoodie he was wearing was the one that was stolen from her residence. An acquaintance of the victim stated that she did recognize the suspect as Holderson. Holderson was later located and arrested for use of a debit card without consent, possession of a debit card without the cardholder's consent, and burglary of a business.
A man has been arrested on several charges after deputies are dispatched to Amargosa.
On January 15th, sheriff's deputies were dispatched to an address in Amargosa Valley for a report of an assault. While officers were en route, dispatch advised that the reporting party called about a male covered in blood who had just stated he was beaten up. Dispatch advised that the suspect in the beating was Christopher McDonald. The victim was allegedly living with McDonald, and his wife received a phone call from McDonald stating that he beat her up with her own gun. When deputies made contact at the reporting party's address, they learned that McDonald was still at the house. Officers made contact with McDonald. McDonald stated that he had gotten into an argument with the victim the night before, and she had pointed a gun at him, and when he went to take it away from her, he hit her in the head. When asked who the male was he fought with, he stated that there wasn't a fight with another male. Officers told McDonald of the allegations and that they were going to make contact with the other party. He was told not to leave until they were able to determine what had taken place. Deputies then made contact with the victim, whose head and face were covered in dried blood. They were able to see a laceration on the right side of her head. She stated that McDonald took her gun from her and began beating her with it. She said that the altercation had taken place the night before and she had fallen unconscious. When she came to, she left the residence. While speaking with the victim, deputies saw a vehicle leave the residence. They conducted a traffic stop and found McDonald sitting in the passenger seat of the vehicle. He was read his Miranda rights. Medics then advised deputies that the victim had a possible skull fracture with lacerations to both sides of her head and was also complaining of pain in her arm, neck, and head. McDonald was arrested for battery with a deadly weapon, battery with substantial bodily harm, and use of a firearm in the commission of a felony.
We'll be right back after the break.
You're watching News 25, brought to you by Mountain West Lawyer, Injury Attorneys, 727-9500. News 25, local news you can count on. News is brought to you by Canyon Ridge Periodontics. Give them a call at 702-966-0302.
Welcome back. Well, working from home can definitely have its perks, but it can also create some bad habits, like snacking throughout the day. In fact, doctors have noticed an increase in the amount of people experiencing weight gain.
And it makes sense. We are just feet from our kitchen. And not only that, we are at home and we are feeling stressed, bored, and lonely. So this is an increase in emotional eating, stress eating, and a lot of mindless snacking.
Dr. Susan Albers, a psychologist with Cleveland Clinic, says that's why it's important to practice mindful eating. She says to help do that, remember the 3 S's. First, sit down while you eat. Studies have shown people eat 5% less when they're sitting at an actual table. Next, slowly chew, meaning take your time and savor each bite. And finally, stop what you're doing. It may be easier to eat while you work, but it should be avoided.
A lot of people use their desk as a dining room table. Instead, think location, location, location. Pick a snack spot, and when you have a snack, it's fine to have a snack. Just stop what you're doing, move to that spot, and that's where you have your snack. Psychologists call that localizing a behavior, so that we're not snacking at many different times in many different locations.
Dr. Albers says you should also make sure you're actually hungry and not just bored or stressed before grabbing that next snack. As for snack ideas, she says oranges, pumpkin seeds, and Brazil nuts are all great options.
Desert Haven Animal Society has lots of cats in need of loving home. For today's Save a Pet, Darby O'Donnell introduces us to APOD.
Today's Save a Pet is proudly sponsored by Jason Ernest with Mountain West Lawyers. Call 775-727-9500.
Hi, I'm Darby here at Desert Haven Animal Society, and today we are joined with APOD. APOD is a extremely large cat. I would probably assume he's like in the 20 to 30 pound range. He looks like he's a gray tabby. He has beautiful green eyes. He's very friendly as long as you do not pick him up. He doesn't go and attack you or anything when you try and pick him up. He just really doesn't prefer it. He tries to go and get away, but he loves to be pet. He's really into affection, and he likes to come up and he'll like bat at your hand trying to get you to pet him. Super sweet little guy. If you want to come and see APOD or any of his friends here at Desert Haven Animal Society, give them a call ahead of time to make an appointment. 775-751-7020, or you can look them up on their Facebook page at Desert Haven Animal Society.
News 25 Weather Cam is brought to you by Lerner and Rowe Injury Attorney's Office in Pahrump. In a wreck, need a check? Call 702-877-1500.
Hi, it's John Kohler from the KPVM Channel 25 Weather Studios. You're looking at images coming at us from Mountain Springs. It's snowing up in the mountains. It's challenging road conditions. We'll tell you all about the weather and what you can expect the next week when we return.
News 25 weather is brought to you by Dairy Council of Nevada. The splash of cream in your coffee, the dollop of sour cream on your burrito, the melted toasty cheese on your pizza. Undeniably delicious, undeniably dairy. Enjoy what's real.
Hi, good evening, Nevada. It's John Kohler from the KPVM Channel 25 Weather Studios, and this is your weather report on an exciting day in weather. Oh man, it's gotten cold, gotten snowy, gotten windy. It's all happening here. Let's check it out in Fernley. 32 degrees was your absolute high today. Gal dang, 15 for a low tonight. Fallon, you're at 34 and 18 for a low tonight. Carson City, 34 degrees for a high tonight. At the low mark around the state, 15 degrees for your low tonight. Tonopah, you just missed it. You got the low for the high mark at 30 degrees, and you just missed the low mark at 16 tonight. Goldfield, you're up to 32 degrees. Freezing temperatures, that's warm enough. 18 degrees in Goldfield for a low tonight. Out in Beatty, it's 40 degrees for a high. 29 for a low. In Amargosa, 44 for a high, 34 for a low. And in Las Vegas, 46 is all you get, and 36 for a low. Death Valley, honorary California member of Nevada's weather report, 55 for a high today, and 41 for low here in the Paradise of Pahrump, where the snow roams free in the streets. It's 40 degrees currently, and just off our high mark at 41 earlier. Windy today, 11 miles per hour out of the south-southeast. And the humidity really sticking with us, making it feel like it's even colder. 73% humidity as the sun rose this morning at 6:49 a.m. with water on the ground. Set this evening at 5:03 p.m. A little snow on the ground. How about that? It'll head down to a low tonight of 30 degrees as the winds calm down a little bit, south-southeast to 6 miles per hour. And the humidity at 79%. Well, let's take a look as we head on into the week. What do we got going on? A lot of wind, a lot of humidity, a lot of chance of rain, especially coming up on Friday. And it looks like temperatures going to be down to about 48, high 40s, and then Saturday, Sunday, Monday looks like heating back up again. We're going to get back about 10 degrees. Winds here and there, but definitely some precipitation on Friday, and we'll keep an eye on all of that. Coming up tomorrow, it's going to start thawing out after about 1 o'clock. So if you're heading up through the mountains, you're going to have some challenges with the two-wheel drive tomorrow morning. If you're making the commute, you might want to take Highway 95. Good alternate route out of Pahrump and into Las Vegas. All right, that's your weather report. Back to Miss Indiana.
All right, so the main concern up there, of course, is Mountain Springs on Highway 160, and that's for travelers. Right now, the Pahrump Road Commuters report is saying that the highway is passable up there at Mountain Springs on Highway 160 right now, and of course, Highway 95 is your alternate route. If it becomes where it's too snowy up there and or it's unpassable, of course, they'll update it on their Facebook page, and we will update it here on our local Pahrump Facebook page as well. They're talking about it snowing throughout the evening, and of course, that's going to be an issue with it being such low temperatures up there, and we'll keep you posted on that as well. The National Weather Service says that they're expecting significant snowfall, and that will be across the Spring Mountains National Recreation Area through tomorrow morning and off and on throughout the week. Road conditions are expected to be hazardous, so be cautious and remember to give snowplows plenty of space. Of course, Lee and Kyle Canyon up there, they're talking about certain areas there are closed at this time, and if you're planning on going up there for any kind of snow play, you'll want to go to GoMountCharleston.com and find out more about that. You can, of course, dial 511 within the state of Nevada to find out about current road conditions, or you can go to nvroads.com to find out more as well. And we'll keep you posted as much as we can throughout the evening. And have fun in the snow. Be careful for sure. We want to unfortunately let everybody know about a person here in Pahrump who has passed away, and that is Jim Cornell. You're seeing him on the screen there. He passed away this weekend, 77 years old. Jim was a major leader here in the community, and of course, being a member of the Moose Lodge, and there's a lot of people who definitely know Jim very well. We've just recently interviewed him, and Jim leaves behind 11 grandchildren and 4 great-grandchildren and his sisters, and all of our love to the family there. He passed away, unfortunately, of COVID. And that's going to wrap up this edition of News 25. I'm Deanna O'Donnell.
I'm Missy Kohler. Have a great evening and drive careful.